Alexander McCall Smith. It's a bit like deja vu, but with 400 close friends. I just a couple of hours ago interviewed him for my show on the O'Regan Files, and tomorrow morning he'll reappear on Canada AM. So his publicist is really making sure that he does his duties while he's here. He's the author, of course, of the Isabel Dalhousie series, the Portuguese Irregular Verb series, the 44 Scotland Street series, and the Corduroy Mansion series. Notice I said series. Usually you just say books. With him, it's 5 different series, a professor emeritus of medical law at the University of Edinburgh, and he served on many national and international organizations concerned with bioethics. Born in what is now known as Zimbabwe, taught law at the University of Botswana. He lives in Scotland. He is a friend of this country. He is an honorary fellow of Massey College at University of Toronto. I am told by a little bird that parts of the #1 Ladies Detective Agency were indeed written in Vancouver, where he has family, and where he enjoys writing. And he is an avid Twitterer. I've become a huge fan. When he's not writing series of books, he has little missives here of 140 characters or less, like this one from 13 hours ago. Oddest book signing experience. Please, will you re-sign this, legibly this time? From 13 hours ago again, customer relations issues. Me at airport cafe. Sorry, milk in my coffee is a little off. Assistant, sourly. I'm drinking it. He counts amongst his fans Laura Bush, Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and you. Please welcome Alexander McCall Smith.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Seamus, for that very generous introduction. We're going to start off this evening with a very brief reading before the conversation that Seamus and I are proposing to have. And what I'd like to do is read not from the most recent Mara Matsui book, the Saturday Big Tent Wedding Party, but from the most recent Scotland Street book, the 44 Scotland Street series. This book has been published in the UK, The Importance of Being 7, but will be published in Canada sometime this year. I don't know when, but nonetheless it will be. And it's volume 6 in the Scotland Street series. And this little excerpt is about one of my absolutely favourite characters, Bertie. Bertie's a great wee boy. He's 6. He's been 6 for the last 6 years. And but he's a tremendous character. Bertie's big problem is his mother. He has an extremely pushy mother, very, very pushy mother, Irene, who has made him, although he's only 6, made him learn Italian so he can appreciate Italian culture. He's been made to learn the saxophone. He does a very good rendition of As Time Goes By from Casablanca, which in his case it doesn't. And he goes to yoga classes. He goes to a class called Yoga for Tots, where the children are so small that they can't even sit up and have to be pushed into the yoga positions by their pushy mothers. And he also has psychotherapy. He goes for psychotherapy at the offices of a very famous child psychotherapist, Dr. Hugo Fairbairn, author of that classic of child psychotherapy, Shattered to Pieces, Ego Dissolution in a 3-Year-Old Tyrant. And poor little Bertie. Now, this problem of pushy mothers, before I get on to the reading very quickly, the problem of the pushy mothers is a very serious problem in Edinburgh. We've got very many pushy mothers. And I gather that in Canada, the epicenter of pushy motherdom is West Vancouver. And I was talking to somebody in West Vancouver about this, and he said, yes, there are many, many pushy mothers in West Vancouver, more pushy mothers in West Vancouver than all the prairie provinces put together in Canada. I think Toronto has a problem as well, but West Vancouver has a very serious problem with them. And he said that he was in a coffee house the previous day, and this woman came up to him, and she had a stroller, and she had her 1.5 2.5-year-old child in the stroller with the poor little tired arms hanging on either side of the stroller. And she said, he gets so tired after his dance lessons. So on to the excerpt. Poor little Bertie. His mother has a favorite charity which sends relief supplies to Romania. They send out-of-date medicines and out-of-date genes to Romania. The Romanians want neither, but they get them. And Irene has said to Bertie, let's go down and wave goodbye to a consignment of out-of-date medicines and out-of-date genes going to Romania. And we'll take your little brother Ulysses. That's Ulysses, who is Bertie's little brother, who bears an extraordinary resemblance to the psychotherapist. And so they go down to say goodbye to these trucks, and they're the 3 big trucks, and there's a piper playing Will You No Come Back Again, and the consignment goes off, and then Bertie looks around for his mother, and she's nowhere to be seen. And she's gone. She's disappeared. So he gets Ulysses, goes back to the flat, phones the father comes back from work, and they report the loss of the mother to the police. And indeed, Irene is missing, and the police put up notices saying, have you seen this woman? Later on in the book, I describe what happens. She gets into one of the trucks, and they close the back, and it drives off with her. And they don't hear her banging on the side of the truck until they reach Hungary. But there's poor little Bertie. He's got to go back to school. It's the 3rd day of the disappearance of his mother. He feels pretty bleak, because a 6-year-old boy, if your mother disappears, obviously you feel pretty blue. But he has to go back to school. So he goes back to the Steiner school, where he's educated. And he has some awful friends there. He's got a horrible little girl called Olive, who insists that when they're 20, Bertie is going to have to marry her, and she says she has it in writing. And Olive's dreadful friend, Pansy, almost as bad as Olive, and a little boy called Tofu, whose parents are very well-known Edinburgh vegans. Unfortunately, Tofu has just lost his mother, who has died of starvation. And so this is Bertie in the playground at the Steiner School. And Olive comes up to him in the playground. Bear in mind, it's the 3rd day of his mother's disappearance, and it's from a chapter called The Comfort of Friends. And Olive comes up to him and says, you mustn't hold tears in, Bertie. It's better, you know, if you let yourself cry. We won't laugh at you, will we, Pansy? Pansy shook her head. Poor Bertie, you must feel awful. And just think, you were the last one to see her alive. That must make you feel really dreadful. Yes, said Olive, that's really bad. She paused. I don't suppose there's any news yet, is there? I don't think so, said Bertie. The police are looking for her. Maybe she just got lost. Olive looked at him with pity. I don't think so, Bertie, do you? You don't get lost at the end of your own street, do you, Bertie? No, I don't think she's lost. She's probably kidnapped, suggested Pansy. Olive considered this possibility. Maybe, she said, people do get kidnapped, even if they don't have all that much money. Maybe they mistook her for some rich person and are holding her in a cellar somewhere. Or an old castle, said Pansy. Could be, said Olive. Somewhere like Tantallon Castle. You know that old castle near North Berwick? We went for a picnic there once, and I thought that it would be a really good place for kidnappers to hold people. Do you know if the police have looked in Tantallon Castle yet, Bertie? Bertie shook his head. They've put notices up in Scotland Street, he said. They have pictures of my mummy on them. Olive looked disapproving. Oh, I don't think that's a very good idea, Bertie. That could annoy the kidnappers. They don't like people going to the police, do they? No, they don't, said Pansy. That's probably made it a whole lot worse. Olive agreed. I wonder if they've sent a ransom demand yet, Bertie. Have you had a letter yet? I don't think so, answered Bertie. My dad hasn't said anything about it. Pansy remembered something. Sometimes they cut off the person's ear, Bertie. Then they put it in an envelope and they send it to their house. That shows they've got the person. That's correct, said Olive. I've heard about that. That happens quite a lot in Italy, but now we're all in the European Union. "They may have sent your mummy's ear already," said Pansy. "Maybe your dad just thought it was junk mail and threw it away." "That's quite possible," said Olive. "We never open our junk mail. We just throw it away. It never crosses our mind that there could be somebody's ear in it."
Do you laugh at? Are you laughing at your own humor, or are you laughing at people's reaction to it?
Well, I suppose, no, I'm laughing at the children. I'm laughing at the children there because that is fairly typical of the sort of thing the children say. They really are. They're tremendously tactless.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever listened to what
I
children...
was one once.
You were a boy, right? Yes, of course. I was a boy as well. And one does say really terrible things of really cruel things. I remember going once to see, in fact, it was the illustrator of the Scotland Street books, Ian McIntosh, years ago when his son was quite young. Very young, sort of about Bertie's age, or maybe a little bit older. And I went to see Ian, and the son was on the steps outside the house talking to a friend of his, and I overheard their conversation, which was, "My dad really hates you." And that's the sort of thing children would say, and they just accept it. And this business about cutting off ears and whatnot, that's exactly the sort of thing they would say.
Were you like that?
No, not me, nor you. No, not me. No, I'm sure I was. I think we were all like that. You have really no feeling for other people. People are psychopaths really till about, well, I suppose about age 8, one becomes moderately less psychopathic. But up to that, I mean, one is very psychopathic.
Children underneath the age of 8 are psychopaths.
I think so. I think as Mara Matsui would say, that's well known. That's a given. That's an absolute given, yes.
These characters, tell me how you go about writing them and developing them.
Well, they tend to walk onto the page in that I tend not to develop them a great deal before they appear, they make their first appearance. So Bertie, for example, in the Scotland Street series, I really didn't even know that he was going to exist when I started writing the books. And then he just suddenly appeared. Suddenly there was this family living on one floor of the Scotland Street house, and lo and behold, there was this little boy called Bertie, and he introduced himself to me. And I think most characters are like that. And that's a very good age. He's a very good age, 6. That's why I keep him 6. Because that's really good. 6, 7, 8's fine, and then they turn nasty, and that goes on in the case of boys till about 28. And I remember talking to a prosecutor friend of mine in Scotland some years ago, and he said, "We see the same people. We see these young men up to about 23, 24. They come up before the courts with for all sorts of violent offences, etc. Then we don't see them again from the age of about 23, 24 until they're 45, when they hit somebody at their daughter's wedding." And they come back into the fond embrace of the criminal justice system. But that age of 7 or 8 is very nice. Just before I came on this trip, actually, my doorbell rang, and there was a little boy with his mother outside, and he was about Bertie's age. He was maybe a year or so older, and I didn't know who this little boy was. But he looked at me solemnly, and he had a piece of paper, and he said, "I've written a book, which I want to give you." So I said, "Well, thank you very much indeed." I took the book and went inside and read it, and it's a real little classic. It's 3 lines, 2 or 3 lines, and in fact I can recite it because I was so impressed with the prose. And it ran as follows: "There was a man who stole all the toffee. He took it home and ate it. The police came to his house and took him to jail. The end." You know, and Seamus, there you have it.
Do you discern from that a sense of morality?
Well, I sense morality and great possibilities as a crime writer, because, you know, that actually really, if you look at most crime writers' novels, that's more or less it. I mean, he's got it. He's got the genre perfectly. That boy really has clearly got a very, very good eye for the requirements of the genre. He needs a little bit more colour and maybe a few more characters, but the plot is there.
Tell us about, I know you do not consider the #1 Ladies Detective Agency series to be a mystery series, but tell me about the times that you've gone, an anecdote, for instance, or observations made from going to mystery writers' conferences.
Well, I go to very few of those. I do go to some, but I go to very few of those because I feel inauthentic at them, because the mystery writers look far more convincing mystery writers than I do.